everyone, Black Moon here. This will be the final throwback for this podcast. This was the very first episode that was recorded where I interviewed a couple of people. But before getting into the throwback, I just want to say that it's almost the end of the school year, so if you're a student at Astate, all I want to say is that you can pull through and that everything will be alright. You can do this! Now, without further ado, let's get into the throwback of Astate Rockers. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Astate Rockers, where you can discover news, new music, and just everything about rock and metal. I'm your host, Black Moon, and I'm going to talk about the show, about myself, and the future of the show. And along with that, I have my friend here, Alice. I'm going to start talking about myself now. I'm Black Moon, a sophomore creative media production major concentrating on corporate media, and I'm minoring in multimedia journalism at A-State. I like all kinds of metal and rock, including gothic rock, hair metal, hard rock, and J-rock, and visual K. Massive weeb here. If I find something that's within the J-rock or visual K genres that I like, I'll be listening to it all the time. Heck, I even like death metal and slam metal. For me, I am not picky about about rock and metal that I listen to. If it sounds good to me, I'm gonna continue listening to that stuff until I'm tired of it. Now, I'm gonna let Alice speak and talk about herself and what kind of rock and metal that she likes.
I'm Alice. I am a 19-year-old sophomore music education major here at A-State. I'm also minoring in psychology. My two instruments are flute and piano, and I hope to someday be able to teach at a collegiate level, if possible. A lot of the music I listen to, very similar to what Black Moon just said. I'm not really super picky about what genres of rock and metal I listen to. There's not really one genre I just straight up just don't like. I know some of my favorites. New metal, thrash metal, those tend to be my top two. Death metal is more like number three. I know that every once in a while I really like to listen to different goth wave, the occasional punk. Yeah, I'm not I know that I also really like to listen to industrial metal. I know that was kind of like I don't want to say a phase for me because I still listen to it, but I know there was an instance where I just really, really, really liked.
Isn't that like a lot of us? We just have that one genre that we listen to 24/7 until we just eventually grow out of it.
Except I wouldn't really say I just grow out of it. I think it's more or less just, I start discovering new stuff, and then like the new stuff kind of gets a little bit more prioritized, but I'll still go back to the, older stuff that I first listened to. Like, for instance, Metallica was, of course, the starter metal band for me when I was an 11-year-old, pretty much. I still really like Metallica. I don't listen to them like nearly as much as I did when I was 11, 12, first discovering metal, because at that point, it was pretty much I want to say like 8 Metallica songs a day.
Yeah. Oh, I started off with Metallica just getting into straight up metal. But for me, the starter band that I got into that was in terms of rock was AC/DC. Because I would constantly be on Apple Music playing music that my parents bought. Because I think it's like family sharing on Apple Music that I've got. And some of the main songs that was on there was TNT, Long Way to the Top, Back in Black, definitely, and Shoot to Thrill.
Yeah, those sound like really good songs. I know when I was first, discovering Metallica, I know I'd also kind of discovered Dio at that point. I really, really liked Dio, Black Sabbath. I know that one of my first modern songs I learned on the piano was just different stuff from that Metallica created. Like Nothing Else Matters was actually the first song I taught myself on piano, and then I ended up, of course, learning more stuff. There's a lot of stuff I still want to learn that I haven't gotten to learn yet, and I find it's really fun when you're able to play the music that you listen to. Unfortunately, I'm not really much of a guitarist. I'm just barely a beginner, but it'd be nice to eventually be able to play some of those compositions as well on guitar.
Okay, that was really cool that you said that you like piano, because I've still yet to teach myself guitar. And and you said that you got into a lot of this stuff when you were like 11 and 12 years old.
Yeah, and I first learned piano when I was 9. At that point, I was more of just the I knew maybe like a handful of rock songs, but I was still like hardcore pop fan, which I don't hate pop music now. I just realized that I just really like rock and metal. That's my, main thing. There's other there's other songs from other genres that I will listen to every once in a while. Doesn't necessarily mean that I hate a specific genre, because I don't think there's really a genre that I just straight up hate. It's just more or less I have like a very strong preference for rock and metal.
You've been into rock and metal more than I have, because I didn't discover a lot of the bands like Dio and Ozzy until I was 16, getting into goth rock.
I think that's how it is for a lot of people. I think it's very funny though, because I feel like I was more or less one of those kind of undercover metalheads, because at that point I was already kind of like the weird kid in school, so it's just like I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, this is the music I listen to, because it wasn't super popular or common for people my age back then to have listened to it. I think a lot of people kind of got into it more in their like mid-teens.
Yeah, and not only that, I there's sometimes I have to keep some of the interests that I have away from certain people because of how rock and metal current well just due to how rock and metal is perceived at this very moment, especially emo. I cannot just simply say I like emo music, and that's due to some of the people that just think that it's weird, and some of them will hate on me just because of it.
Yeah, I think I'm more to the point now where I don't really, I don't quite care what people think of my music taste. It's just like, well, if you think I'm, X, Y, and Z just because I listen to a band you don't like, then it's just like, well, you weren't worth hanging out with anyways. But I find that that's only really a problem online. Like, it's more or less, I think when you meet people in person that listen to the same stuff as you don't encounter that problem as much. I feel like it's only people that are chronically online that really like to poser call or, name call, place your kind of music, or what kind of category of alternative you really are.
Yeah, it like I said, it a lot of it is online. It's just because people are more comfortable saying whatever stuff they like to say online than to other people's faces.
I find that that is also really true when you're gaming, because like gaming is another really big hobby of mine. I really like all kinds of video games, specifically a lot of survival horrors. Um, I like to play Dead by Daylight, and of course, that's a very it's not I won't don't want to say it's a very competitive game, but you do have to have like a lot of teamwork involved, or you're facing a team of 4 as a killer, and people can be really vulgar on there, and it's very unnecessary a lot of the times. And I also realize that this is kind of the case for some first person shooter games as well, which is very unfortunate, because it's just at the end of the day, it's they're just games. It's not something that you need to cause fights over.
Yeah, that's a really big problem. And it's not even just games, it's also forums as well. There's even been times that I've went into a chat room and the people there were just straight up rude, but it is what it is at this point. At this point, I just try not to complain and just go on with my life. I'm here reading about bats and vampires and anything horror related, while while also listening to the music and just living my life.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you really can do, honestly.
Yeah. Well, may I hear some of your favorite bands and why you like them?
Sure. So, I like to go through a lot of different phases, as I said earlier. Currently, right now, my new obsession is Black Label Society. I really like Zach Wild. I really like the work that he's done both with Black Label Society and also with Ozzy himself. He's just he's an extremely amazing guitarist, honestly. Another band I've really gotten into lately. It's been quite a few. Static X is another really good one. I really like industrial metal, and they have like a lot of industrial kind of metal, new metal songs, and I find that they're very unique in sound. I I find it really sad that they probably won't make any new music anytime soon because of what happened to Wayne Static.
Yeah, that that was sad, but going with all of that, some of the music that I like listening to is like Ghost. I really like a lot of the music that Tobias Forge has made through Ghost, and just all just from from their earliest albums to Skeleton, it's all been good, and I really like them. And not only that, Psychema 2 with eh, they have some of the similar theatrics. It's just the different approach. With Psychema 2 being demons that try to take over humanity through music, and the whole Catholic approach with Ghost. And I've also gotten into Sisters of Mercy, and I still love their music, along with the Paradox. The Paradox is like a recent pop punk band, and well, some of their stuff is actually kind of relatable, along with it being really good. Not only that, sound their sound. It's similar to like early pop punk, but within modern day, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I'm also really getting into a lot of goth wave bands. I feel like a lot of the phases I go through, I will always like hyperfixate on like a specific like subgenre. I know at one point, when I first started here at A State, and I'm still doing this, I discovered a lot of really nice gothic kind of bands. I really like Susie and the Banshees, Skeletal Family, Witching Hours got some really good songs. Laban and Hanover, they seem really nice. I haven't heard a whole lot from them, but I did like what I heard. Of course, Sisters of Mercy is amazing.
Yes.
Um, Another thing too, whenever I was a senior in high school, that's when I started like going down the rabbit hole of new metal, and of course, I discovered American Head Charge. They are very underrated, I feel like, but they are easily like they're a tough band. I really like their sound. Same with like OTEP. Yeah.
Oh, and I discovered the Sisters of Mercy, Susie, Bauhaus, and all that other stuff while being at my baby bat phase at 16. And as of recent, I've gotten back into the clan of Cymox, and I've gone into the Bell Tower Syndicate with their song "The Night Watch," which is a really good song. And I really like it personally.
Yeah, and then I've been listening to more. I know I listen to these are two contrasting subgenres of metal. I know a little while ago I was like listening to a lot of like symphonic and death metal. It's very funny because I like how sometimes in certain symphonic bands they have like the lead singer who does like clean vocals, and then they'll have like a backup vocalist who does like death metal growls. I really like I really like those genres because I feel like they're very unique, and the riffs are always extremely clean. Oh yeah, another band I forgot to mention earlier in regards to goth wave. Although even though they're technically not really goth, a lot of goth people really enjoy them. Depeche Mode. I've discovered a lot of Depeche Mode stuff as of recently, and I really like them as well.
Now let's get to the rock news for the day. For Metal Hammer, first one we've got Dream Theater announces their new 40th anniversary live album by Jerry Erwig. That is the person that published this. For Dream Theater, they've announced that they will be releasing their new live album on vinyl, Blu-ray, and CD. Their live album being Quarantine, Live at Paris, that will be released through Inside Out Music and Sony Music on November 28th. We'll be back with more Astate Rockers after this quick break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Astate Rockers, where you can discover new music, rock news, and concerts happening in Arkansas. I'm your host, Black Moon, and I'll be talking about the concerts happening in Arkansas, rock news, and about the future of the show. Now, with all that out of the way, I want to talk about the future of this show and what it all means, and introduce the new guest. Can you tell me your name and occupation, please?
Yes, my name is Timothy Arquette, and I am a broadcast production specialist and adjunct instructor here at Arkansas State University.
Now, with all that, I really wanted to make this show because um just as a rock and metal show for A State, because I've seen that there's been music shows but no that there's been music shows but nothing towards rock and metal, more like jazz and classical music. And I've seen that there's been other shows but they've mostly been leaning more towards sports and esports and all of that. So I wanted to just make it as a way to just introduce new people to rock and metal, help people discover new songs, and announce concerts and and get news out there and relating to rock and metal. And that's overall been it. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely a more niche subject that hasn't been covered, especially at this university. There's a lot of individuals who, when they talk about music, they tend to either lean classical or they lean, like you said, jazz or something a little lighter. Metal and rock doesn't typically come up as often. And then, of course, there's a whole host of sports programming we have here. So this is something very unique and a different take.
Yeah, and overall, I just wanted to do something new and possibly have something fresh for A State. And not only that, I also wanted to like go further than just having this as a talk show. Also wanted it to be a club for people to show off what music they have created and also to help people find a community.
Oh, okay, so you're wanting to do like almost like a network for individuals who are interested in this topic.
Well, not much of a network. It's similar formatting for the anime club.
Hmm.
Want this to just be just ways for people to discover music and discover news and get info on concerts that they may like.
Okay, kind of
But
a way
not
for people to connect essentially, like with each other, who share similar like interests and stuff.
yes, and not have it as like really formal. I didn't really want that to begin with.
Hmm.
Um,
So you're wanting something a little more like relaxed and casual, almost like a student club type setting.
yes, exactly. Um,
I know when I went to school here in undergraduate, I kind of did the same thing with game design because we had just started doing game design stuff at A State. And so I tried to create a more casual atmosphere club so that people with similar interests could connect to each other, share stuff they loved. We actually had a few individuals who made music who shared that as well in there. And it was just a way for people to kind of get together and find out new things.
yes, and that's what I've been wanting to just do. Now, with all of that out of the way, can I ask you what kind of like what do you listen to a lot of rock and metal?
I actually do listen to quite a bit of rock and metal. I prefer a lot of the classics, so stuff like Iron Maiden, ACDC, things like that. If I'm to go more modern, I am a pretty big fan of August Burns Red.
Nice.
But yeah, I tend to like anything that has good guitar riffs. I look for a lot of the double bass with the beats and things like that.
Yeah, and of course, with a lot of it, the catchier the better.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely want a catchy rhythm.
Yes. Can you name off some of the modern bands that you may like, along with the classical ones?
Yeah, okay. A few more of the modern bands. I'm really into a band right now called No Treaty. They're kind of indie. They do a lot of metalcore type stuff. And then I'm really a big fan of there's a what's called an unblack metal band. Instead of black metal, their messages are positive. So they're called Hell's Enemy,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm really big into them currently. When it comes to classics, though, like I said before, Iron Maiden, AC/DC, Dio.
Oh, I love Dio.
I love anything that kind of has like an epic feel to it.
Yes. Oh, and for me personally, I have a list of them, of bands I really like, being like Ghost, Sekima 2, The 69 Eyes, The Sisters of Mercy, and stated previously, I am really into like goth rock.
Okay.
And I've recently, like I said, gotten back into the clan of Zymox, and I started discovering the Bell Tower Syndicate.
Okay, I believe I've heard of Bell Tower Syndicate actually.
Yes, the Night Watch is one of their songs that I'm listening to.
Okay, nice.
I've also gotten into like Rosetta Stone, and they recently released an album called "Dose Makes the Poison." I like a few of their songs. Ill Informed, Unfriended, Scars definitely, and Dose Makes the Poison.
Okay, I don't even think I've actually heard of Rosetta Stone, so I might have to give them a listen then.
Oh, definitely. Please do.
If you had to like, I guess, categorize them in a subgenre of metal, what would you
Well,
like say they fit into?
it's not much of metal, but rock.
Hmm.
They're specifically goth rock
Okay,
or gothic rock.
nice. So, do you have any, I guess, like more classic bands you like, or new metal bands, or any of that?
Speaking of, if you're specifically talking about new metal, just straight up Slipknot
I got you.
and and Evanescence.
Oh, Evanescence is
I
fantastic.
love Evanescence, and it's pretty cool that they also came from Arkansas.
Yeah, that's like a huge thing that.
That is a huge deal for Arkansas, right?
Oh, definitely. I know the local radio station here on campus actually has tried to connect with the lead singer a couple of times
Amy
because,
Lee?
yes, because she's from Arkansas and they tend to try and get stuff that's more local to play on air. So
Yeah, I guess that's been unsuccessful.
I don't believe they've ever connected with her personally, but they definitely have gotten to run her music. So that was a really nice touch to the listening.
Now, now in terms of classic ones, definitely Iron Maiden and Dio. Also Black Sabbath.
Oh, yeah, Black Sabbath's great.
I love Black Sabbath, especially the Ozzy era and the Dio era.
Yeah, both eras are fantastic with Black Sabbath. And
Yes.
like Ozzy obviously was the man when it came to Black Sabbath,
Yes, and
but
it was tragic and incredibly heartbreaking when we had to find out that he passed away.
yeah, it was really sad. I remember when the news broke, I was like, another legend's gone. And
Yes.
I mean, while he had a huge impact on the world, I hate to see him go.
Yes. But hey, he made an impact. He lived a good life, and part of me was like not surprised because of all the problems that he had.
Oh yeah, he definitely was facing a lot of health issues before he had passed away,
Yeah.
and he got to go out with a bang with his one final performance.
Yes, and that's the one way people always want to go but never always get the chance.
Oh yeah, he definitely got to fulfill that dream of going out with a bang. And so that final concert really reflected his life overall.
Yes. Now on to mentioning another band that I like, Twisted Sister. I
Oh,
like to
okay.
listen to their popular stuff like We're Not Gonna Take It and I Wanna Rock.
Nice. I actually like quite a bit of Twisted Sister as well. The boys are back in town. Or no, that's Thin Lizzy. I'm sorry. I get those two mixed up in my head
Oh
quite a bit.
man, don't feel bad. I get mixed up like that all the time.
But I Want to Rock is definitely an excellent one as well. But yeah, Twisted Sister's great.
Yes. You can't forget about the classic hard rock stuff like Led Zeppelin,
Oh yeah.
Aerosmith. I don't listen to I don't listen to a lot of them, but whenever I listen to some of their popular ones, I'm like, heck yeah! Especially if they come up on the radio.
Oh yeah, I mean Led Zeppelin is pure classic, like Immigrant Song and of course Stairway to Heaven.
Oh man, heck yeah! Some of the other modern ones, I've also been trying to get back into the Rasmus. They're like hard rock with some emo
Okay.
elements. They recently released their album Weirdo.
Okay.
That I've been trying to just get into their music, but to me it's I gotta be able to like full on listen to it and have it be like ear candy to me, or else it's not, or else I'm not going to listen to it.
I got you. Yeah, I can feel the same way. It takes like getting into the music before it really just hits.
Yes, that was the same with me with goth rock at 16. I was just full on listening to the Sisters of Mercy and being like, "Man, I can't get into this." Until all of a sudden one of the songs I started listening to specifically from the Sisters of Mercy, I'm like, "Man, this sounds good." And
When,
and I can definitely tell you the song it was Marianne.
okay, when a song like that just hits, it's like all of a sudden the entire genre almost opens up to you.
Yes, and the same thing happened to me at 16 or 17 with slam metal.
Okay.
Um, I was listening to an anime slam band,
Hmm.
and I listened to one of their songs, and I was like, "Dadgum, this is kind of good."
Nice.
And
I know for me, when I first got into like metalcore and stuff, it took me a minute because I was like, this all sounds the same at first.
yes,
Everything is like a double bass drum and someone screaming.
it just a full on breakdown.
Yeah. And then when I finally found a band I liked, like August Burns Red,
Mhm.
something clicked and it was like, oh, everything's different now. Like each song sounds unique. I can start to hear where like it's breaking down and like these bands are putting different elements in that you don't necessarily hear as an
Yes,
outsider.
yes. On another one, I immediately got into them after the first song, and that was Ghost. I started listening to them at 17, and I was like, "Dadgum, I don't think I'm going to be able to express my interest in Ghost to pretty much anyone because I was in a small conservative town,
I got you.
and I that's where I'm gonna have to live in after I get out of A State for the year
Hmm.
because I have nowhere to go."
I got you.
Eh,
Ghost is definitely a very different band.
Yeah, and but I could definitely tell you whenever I listen to Dance Macabre, I'm like, hmm, this is an okay bit, and then I listen to Cerise, and I'm like, yeah, I am now part of the fan base.
Gotcha. I definitely can understand like when something hits like that. That was me with in the new metal scene with like Sum 41 and bands like that from the early 2000s. There was just a couple of songs that when I heard them, I immediately was like, boom, I want to be part of this fandom now. I want to be part of the group that is this band. So,
Yes. Um, but with all that out of the way, thank you for being here today.
oh, it's my pleasure, and thank you for having me.
This concludes this episode of A State Rockers. Rock on, Red Wolves.